Today we are going to discuss about layered file system and then how the file system implemented. Right? Today we are going to cover these two topics. If the time permits, we'll start the next. We'll go for the next topic. Okay. So file system, how the file system was implemented. So before going to discuss about how the file system implemented, so let me give you a overall idea about layered file system. Right. So first of all, what is a file? File is a collection of related information. Try to follow the cursor, please. File is a collection of related information, and a file structure is a logical storage unit. Where the file will be reside, the file system will be reside on the secondary storage. That means secondary memory, for example, disk. So what is the purpose of storing the file system into the disk? Is there any special characteristic about the disk? Of course, yes. Right? So what for we are using disk? Disk is used to store the information. Okay? Permanently. Disk is a secondary storage device where we can store the information permanently. So file system resides in the secondary memory. Okay. And then what for you are storing the information to the disk? So if we store the information or a file into the disk so that we can access the files in a convenient and efficient manner. That means uh, with the help of disk, we can store the information as well as we can retrieve the information in a convenient and efficient manner. Okay. And the next point, so what are the characteristics of the disk? So we can rewrite in place as well as a random access. So these two are the characteristics of the disk, and the disk provide these two functionalities, in place rewrite as well as a random access. So what is in place rewrite? That means whenever you want to uh, read the information from the disk from one location, you can read the information from that location. In the same place, if you want to modify the contents of a particular block, then you can modify that block. You can write to the block, even you can read to that block. Okay. Modifications to any block is also possible, and random access. Coming to random access means, so now we are in the block number 2. Suddenly you want to write the information to the block number 13. So straight away you can move to the block number 13 and you can perform operation on that particular block. And from that block you want to read the information from the block number 22. So you can move from current block to that block number 22 whenever you require. That is called as a random access. Disk supports random access. Random access means you no need to read the information block by block. So block by block accessing is called as a sequential access. So whereas whatever may be the block, wherever maybe wherever you are right now, you might, the cursor might be, the read write head might be in the block number 21. Now you want to read the information from the block number 43. So directly you can move from this particular current block to that block. So that is called as a random access. Disk support random access, whereas a magnetic tape is a secondary storage device like a disk. But in the case of magnetic tape, random access is not possible. You need to go for a sequential access. If it is a magnetic disk, random access is supported, right? So whatever the operation you want to perform on the disk is divided into blocks. Initially, the disk is divided into tracks. Those tracks are divided into sectors, and the sectors are divided into blocks. Okay, we will perform operations on the blocks. Each block is of 512 bytes. Usually, so the size of the disk increases, automatically the byte size also increases. And next, what is a file control block? So file control block stores the information about a file. What is information about file? It may be a file name or a file inode number. Inode number is used to uniquely identify the file. Two files may have a same file name, but two files should not have a inode number, same inode number. inode number is used to uniquely identify the file. And next, what are the other information about a file? File permissions, owner of the file, group of the file, size of the file, date and time created or last modified. So all those things are related to the file. And the next one, coming to device driver. So what is a device driver? Device driver controls the physical device. What the device driver? Device driver, what are the functionality of the device driver? You came to know when we discuss about the layered file structure. Okay. So as of now, these are the basic concept where the file system resides and why the file system stored in the disk. What are the specialty of the disk? What are the characteristics of the disk? What for you are storing the information to the disk? So those topics we covered. A file is a collection of related information. File system is a logical storage unit. It will reside in the secondary memory. The example is a disk. Okay, why we are storing the information to the disk, file system into the disk? The answer is very simple. If we store the file system into the disk, it is very easy, convenient and efficient access. We can easily store the information and we can access the information from the disk in a efficient manner. And next, whatever the block you, wherever you are, particularly you are maybe in the block number 2, directly you move to the block number 23 and you can read the information from that particular block. So that is disk supports a random access. Okay, and then file control block contains the information about the file, and the device driver is used to control the physical devices. A physical device may be a printer or it may be a scanner, any device, hardware device, all those are controlled by the device drivers. Device driver is a software. Next, whenever an additional device is connected to the external device or any additional device connected to your computer may not detect that particular device until and unless you install the device driver software. For example, if you want to take a printout, the printer will be connected to your machine. How your computer or machine detect the printer? It cannot detect the printer if you are not installed the device driver software. Each and every device has its own device driver software. You need to install that particular software so that your computer can detect the printer. If you want to attach the scanner to the computer, then scanner software, that is scanner device drivers, need to be installed in your computer. Then only whenever you plug in the scanner to a computer, the computer will recognize that particular device. Okay, it may be a webcam, it may be a scanner, or it may be a printer. So whatever may be the device will be controlled. The physical device will be controlled by the device drivers. Okay, and next, coming to file system layered structure. As I told you earlier, so file system is organized into layers. So these are the layers. The first one is application program, and then logical file system, and then file organization module, and the basic file system, and then IO control, and then devices. So let me explain you what are the what is this particular layered file system and what is the functionality of each and every layer. So coming to this particular layered file system, if you observe here, this is application program, the layer 1, and then logical file system, and then file organization module, and then basic file system, and then IO control, finally devices. Okay, what is our purpose is we want to take the printout. What is the purpose? We want to take the printout of a file. Okay, so what we need to do? Initially, the user will interact with the application program. The user has to write a program to take the printout of a particular file. So then immediately that uh, whatever the file you want to take the printout, the logical file system will search for the existence of the file in the directory structure. Are you got my point? So our task is to take the printout of a file. Okay. So for that, we need to write a program. So that is called as an application program. From the application program, the instruction will be go to the logical file system. Then logical file system will search for the particular file existence. Whatever the file you want to take the printout, that file is available in the directory structure or not, existed or not, it will be checked by the logical file system. So once the file is found, then the command is shoot to the file organization module. So what the purpose of file organization module? The file organization module found the physical location of the file. So what is about logical file system? Logical file system will set the logical existence of that particular file in the disk. That means file on the directory structure. So whether it is existed or not. If it is existed, the file is existed, then the command is shoot to the file organization module. What is the purpose of file organization module? The file organization module identifies the physical means actual location of that particular file. Once the actual physical location of the file, maybe it may be a block number 123 or entire file you want to print. So where the file is available in the directory structure disk. So automatically, once the file location found, then immediately that information will be transferred to the basic file system. So what the basic file system will do? The basic file system will deals with the operations what you perform on that particular file. Now what you want to perform on that file, you want to take the printout. So the basic file system will send that particular command, print command to the IO control. So what the IO control will do? The IO control will have two things. So one is device drivers and interrupt handlers. So the IO control consists of device drivers and the interrupt handlers. I already told you each and every device is controlled by the device drivers. So IO control consists of device driver. What is the purpose of device driver? So what is the command given to the IO control? Print file A, for example, print file A. So print file A is a high level instruction. It is a high level language instruction. It cannot be understandable to the device. Printer cannot understand the high level programming language. So obviously the IO drivers, device drivers which are available in the IO control will translate this particular high level program command into low level hardware instruction. I repeat, whenever the command print file A will come to the IO control consists of device drivers. That device driver will take the high level command and it translates into the low level hardware instruction. So once it is converted to the low level hardware instruction, the instruction will be executed by the printer. So the device. Here we require, what device we require? Printer device. So finally it will print the file A. Okay. So I repeat one more time for you. For example, if you want to read the block number 123 from a file, what you want to do? From a file A, from block number 123. From a disk, you want to read block number 123. The disk is divided into tracks. Tracks are divided into sectors, and in the sectors, those are divided into blocks. What is our purpose? We need to read block number 123. So with the help of paint, I will explain you this one. So what is our duty? Our purpose is read block number 123. So I already told you, for example, if it is a disk, these are called as a tracks. Okay, so these tracks are divided into sectors. So these are called as sectors. These pizza shaped things are called as sectors. And then in the sectors we have again blocks. Okay. So these outer line circles are called as tracks. This particular pizza shape is called as sector. In the sectors we have a blocks. Okay. Now what do you want? We need to read block number 123. In the next chapter we are going to discuss about the disk structure. There you completely know about the entire structure information, what exactly contains. Okay. So read block number 123. This is our task. So first what we need to do? So we need to write a program to read the information from a file. We need to write a program to read the information from a file. So where we need to write a program. And then from application program, once it is ready, so we need to check where we are reading the information. We need to read the information from a particular block number 123. So whether that particular information is available or not. So the logical existence will be given by the logical file system. So once the information is found, so what the physical location we actually required, the physical location will be given to us by the file organization module. So the file organization module deals with the, it deals, this one deals with the physical location. Physical location means actual location. So whereas a logical file system deals with the logical issues. That means whether the things are existing or not. Okay. Once we know the physical location, then automatically we'll move to the next layer. What is the next layer? Basic file system. So what the basic file system will do? Basic file system will deals with operations what we want to perform. What are the operations we want to perform? Read operation on block number 123. That instruction will be given, that read one block number 123 instruction will be passed to the IO control. Okay. What the IO control will do? IO control consists of two things. So one is a device driver and the next one interrupt handlers. Right? So what is the purpose of device driver? These device drivers will take this particular command. So this is a command we need to perform. So this particular command is a, what is this? This is a high level command. So this high level command is not understandable by the, understandable to the device. So device cannot understand high level commands. So what we need to do, this high level command will be given to the device driver. So what the device driver will do, device driver translate it to low level hardware instruction. Are you got my point? So the IO control contains device driver. What is the purpose of device driver? It will take the high level command. What is the high level command? Read block number 123. This command will be given to the device driver. So device driver will take this high level command and translate it into the low level hardware instruction. So once it is converted to the low level hardware instruction, these instructions are understandable by the devices. So that particular low level instruction will be issued to the devices. So what the device we require? We require the disk. In the disk what we need to perform? We need to read the information at block number 123. Okay. The read operation performed. Have you got my point? So that is a story. Initially, user need to write a program. And then logical file system will check the logical existence. If it is found, then we move to the file organization module. It deals with the physical location. And then we move to the basic file system. In the basic file system, the command will be issued to the IO control, whatever the command you need to perform. It may be a, it may be a read operation, it may be a write operation, whatever the command, that command will be shooted to the IO control. So what is the purpose of IO control? IO control consists of device drivers. So this high level command will be translated to the low level instruction by the device driver. Once it is converted to the low level instruction, that instruction is understandable by the devices. Okay, it may be a printer to take the printout, or it may be a disk, whatever may be the device. So the instruction will be issued to that particular device depending upon the operation what you require. You may want to print a file, or you want to read the block, or you want to write whatever the operation, that operation will be performed by the devices. Why? Because the devices can understand low level hardware instructions. Okay, that is the thing. That is about layered architecture. And next, I already told you device drivers. Device drivers manages the IO devices. So observe here, given the command like read drive 1 cylinder 72 or track 2 sector 10 into the memory location 1060. So it may be a command. So what the device driver will do? Follow the cursor please. This particular double quoted information is a command, high level command. So what the device driver will do? This command will be outputs like low level hardware specific commands to the hardware controllers, so that the device driver translates the high level command into low level hardware specific command, so that the device can understand the instruction and it will execute the instruction for us. And next, what is the basic file system? Basic file system will give a command like retrieve block number 123, and then also manages memory buffers and caches. That is the purpose of basic file system. So buffers hold the data in transit, and caches are used to hold the frequently used information. Okay. And next, what is the purpose of file organization module? File organization, I already told you, it will deals with the physical blocks, and it will translate the logical block to physical block. I already told you, logical file system will deals with the logical blocks. So what is the file organization module? The file organization module will translate this logical block into physical block. Okay. And then if the it also the purpose of file organization module is also perform the disk allocation and manages the free space. And if any file requires some memory, it will allocate the memory for that particular file organization module. And then logical file system. What is a logical file system? Logical file system will deals with the metadata information. I already told you. So it will check for the existence. How can we check? So each and every file has a name and it has an inode number. Based upon the inode number, it will check whether that particular file is existed or not. Then only we can perform the operations. So what is a metadata here? Metadata means data about a data. And usually here about a file we need to talk. So what are the information available about a file? The protection and the read, write, execute permissions, who is the owner, who is the group ID, what is the inode number, and what is the name of the file, what is the size of the file. All those things are comes under a metadata. Okay. So these are about layers. Okay, layered file system. And then file system implementation. So how can we implement a file system? So here we have two types of um, file system implementations available. That means in order to implement the file system, we have two ways. So one is on disk structure, and the second one is the in-memory structure. The first topic is a layered file system. It is already over. Now the second topic in this particular chapter is file system implementation. We can implement the file system into two ways. One is on disk implementation, on disk structure, and the second one is a in memory structure. On disk structure, in memory structure. Okay. So what an on disk structure? So the structure is usually maintained inside the disk. What is on disk structure? The structure is maintained inside the disk. That is a secondary memory. Okay. The entire on disk structure is divided into four blocks. The first one is the boot control block, and the second one is a volume control block, and the next one is a directory structure, and the last one is a file control block. It is not here. So totally we need file control block here. I need to make one change here. Okay. The file system will be implemented in two ways. This is the first way. Let me do one more change. How do we implement file system? Okay, so we can implement a file system in two ways. So what are those? The first one is on disk structure, and the second one is the in memory structure. So these are the two ways. This is the first one, and this is the second one. Okay. So we can implement the file system in two ways. The first one is the on disk structure, and the second one is the in memory structure. So what is on disk structure? On disk structure is divided into four parts. The first one is a boot control block, second one is a volume control block, and the third one is a directory structure, fourth one is a file control block. Okay, we need to talk about the first one. Right, the first one is a on disk structure. Under the on disk structure, we need to talk about boot control block, volume control block, and directory structure, and the fourth one is a file control block. So what is boot control block? So boot control block, as the name indicates, boot, it contains the information needed to boot the operating system from the volume. So the disk, all you know about the thing. So hard disk operating system is resides in the hard disk. Whenever you turn on your computer, the operating system will be loaded to the main memory from the secondary memory. That means initially the operating system was reside in the hard disk secondary memory. Whenever you turn on your computer, the hard disk is loaded from secondary memory to main memory. In the initial classes, I had discussed this particular one many number of times. Operating system was initially in the secondary memory. Whenever you turn on your computer or whenever you switch on your mobile, at that moment the operating system will be loaded to the main memory from the secondary memory, that is disk. Okay, so boot control block on disk structure, right? On the disk, the first one is a boot control block. The boot control block contains the boot information in order to load the operating system from the disk to main memory. And the next one, boot control block. If it is a Unix operating system, it is called as a super block. If it is a Windows, it is called as a master file table. Sorry, partition boot sector. That thing you need to understand. Boot control block, if it is Unix, it is called as boot block. If it is Windows related one operating system, it is called as a partition boot sector. So all these are the partitions. Boot control block, one partition, first partition, volume control block, second partition, directory structure, third partition, and file control block, fourth partition. Okay. Coming to boot control block, it contains information regarding the boot info. Boot info. What is booting? Booting means loading the operating system from hard disk to main memory. That boot related information is available in the boot control block. If it is Unix operating system, boot control block is called as boot block. If it is a Windows NTFS, it is called as partition boot sector. Okay. This is usually the first block of volume. Volume means entire disk. It is the first partition. And what is the second partition? Volume control block. So if it is a Unix operating system, it is called as a super block. And if it is a NTFS, then it is called as a master file table. Okay, what it contains? It contains about volume details. As the name indicates, volume control block. That means how many number of blocks are there in the disk, how many number of blocks are free, what is the block size, and next to what about the free block pointer. All these details are available in the volume control block. Okay. And the next one, directory structure. Directory structure organize the files. Organizing the files means the what the file information, what is the file name, and next what are the inode numbers, and next if it is a Unix operating system, it includes file name and file inodes. If it is a NTFS, that means Windows, it's stored in the master file table. Okay. And the last one, file control block. So what is a file control block? As the name indicates, file control block. It related to the information about a file. What the information about a file? Maybe inode number, permission, size, dates. This is the structure. What are the file? This is a file control block database, relational database model. File permissions, file dates, and when it was created, when was last access, when was last write, who is the owner of the file, who is the group of the file, access control list, and what is the size of the file data blocks or pointers to the file data blocks. All these things are maintained by the file control block. Okay. The file system was implemented in two ways. The first one is the on-disk structure and the second one is in-memory structure. On-disk structure contains four partitions. First one is a boot control block. It contains information about the booting the OS, booting the OS from disk to main memory. And next, usually in the Unix operating system, it is called as a boot block. If it is a Windows, it is called as partition boot sector. And next, volume control block. As the name indicates, it contains the details about the volume. Volume means total volume of the disk. What is the size of the block? How many number of blocks are there? How many blocks are free? How many blocks are occupied? So all block related information, all blocks information is available in the volume control block. If it is a Unix operating system, then it is called as a super block. And if it is a NTFS means Windows, then it is called as master file table. And the third partition in the on-disk structure is directory structure. Directory structure organize the files. Organizing the files means what is the file name and what is the inode number. If it is a NTFS, master file table will be maintained. And the next one, file control block. File, as the name indicates, It contains the information about a file. In the NTFS, it will be stored in the form of a relational database. If it is a Unix, just it maintains like this. What is INO number, what is the permission, size, dates, like that. Normal information will be maintained about the file. But if it is a sorry, not NFTS, there is a type error. NTFS means New Technology File System. UFS means Unix File System. Here, if you observe now, I already am using the two things. Here. If you observe here, UFS. UFS means Unix File System. If it is NTFS, it is look like this. UFS means Unix File System. NTFS means New Technology File System, Windows File System. So stores into master file table using the relational database structure. So in this format, the information is stored in the file control block. If it is a UFS, Unix File System, the inode number, permission, size and date information is not stored in the form of a database. Okay. This is about the first one, on disk structure. Then what about in memory structure? So the in-memory file system. So what the in-memory file system contains? The in-memory file system contains mount table. The first one is the mount table. So what a mount table? Mount table storing the file system mounts, mount points and file system types. Okay. And what is the next one? The directory structure. So directory structure. Okay. The following will use the necessary file system structure for the operating system. So before going to discuss about this one, so you need to know one point. So we need to include that one here. So it contains the first one is in-memory mount table. And the second one is the in-memory directory structure. In-memory directory structure. And the third one is a system-wide open file table. And the fourth one, per process open file table. Okay. In-memory mount table, in-memory directory structure, system-wide open table, open file table, and the next one per process open file table. So these are the four things we need to discuss under the in-memory file system. In-memory file system is a second way of implementing the file system. The first one is the on-disk structure, directory structure. It is already over. It has a 4 partitions. The first one is a boot control block, second one volume control block, third one directory structure, fourth one file control block. Likewise, in the case of in-memory file system implementation, we need to talk about these 4 things. The first one is a in-memory mount table, and the second one is the in-memory directory structure. Third one is a system-wide open file table, and the fourth one is a per process open file table. So what is in-memory mount table? So you actually what for in-memory file system, first point. So what for in-memory file system? In-memory file system is used for both the file system management and performance improvement via caching. So it is for two things. One is for file system management and the second one is for performance improvement via the caching. So these are the two benefits of implementing the file system using in-memory file system. So what are the four things we need to discuss under in-memory file system? The first one is a in-memory mount table, second one in-memory directory structure, third one system-wide open file table, fourth one per process open file table. The first one in-memory mount table. What is the purpose of in-memory mount table? Mounting information. That means the location of file system where we mount the where we mount the or where we attach the file system. What is the location uh, of the file system? Okay, that will be maintained by the in-memory mount table. So where we attach the file system, at mount point we need to attach the file system. So that mount point and that locations of the file system where they are attached, mounted, that information will be maintained by the in-memory mount table. Okay, and the next one is the in-memory directory structure. What is in-memory directory structure? In-memory directory structure holds the recently accessed directories. That means in a disk we have maybe 20 directories. In those 20 directory structures, which directory structures we are recently used? That recently used directory information will be maintained by the in-memory directory structure. Okay, mount related information, mount point related information will be maintained by the in-memory mount table. In-memory directory structure means, so for example in the disk we have 10 directories. In those 10 directories, how many number of directories recently used, and out of 10 maybe 3 or 4 directories are used frequently. So those recently used directories list will be maintained by the in-memory directory structures. So what are the directories we are using recently? So that information will be maintained by the in-memory directory structure. And the next one, system-wide open file table. So what is system-wide open file table? System-wide open file table contains the information about list of open files, by various process in the system. Okay, that means, for example, you have 10 process in the computer. The 10 process are currently open different files, right? That means all the processes open different number of files. So what are the number of how many number of open files by different process? That information will be maintained by system wide open file table. That means it contains information about list of open files by various process in the system. And then what about per process open file table? Per process means it is about individual process, only one process. Here in the system we have all process, right? All the process are opening different files. So the system wide open file table maintains information about all open files of all the process. Whereas in the case of per process open file table means only one process, open number of open files by the process, only one process. That information will be maintained by the per process open file table. Okay, excuse me, right? I repeat, in-memory mount table maintains information about the mount points and where the file system, in which location the file system was attached. And the next, in-memory directory structure maintains information about recently used directories. And system-wide open file table maintains the information about list of open files by various number of process in the system. Per process open file table means it contains the information about list of open files by one process. Okay, and that means it contains a pointer to the appropriate entry in the system wide open file table. Okay, and next one more point also we need to add here. So in addition to these four, it also maintains buffer hold file. Okay. That means the system blocks where they are being read from the disk are written to the disk. Okay. System logs where they are being read from the disk or written to the disk. Those information will be maintained by the buffer hold file. Okay. So under the in-memory file system structure, we need to talk about two types of system calls. One is an open system call. If it is an open system call, what we need to do, and if it is a read system call, what we need to do. These are the two examples. The first one is about open system call and the second one is a read system call. How the operation will be performed if it is a open, and how the operation is performed if it is a read. Okay. So let me explain how the open system call can be performed. Whenever we give a file name, which file you want to open, that is called as a file name. It will be sent to the kernel memory. So kernel means kernel is a main part of the operating system, or kernel is a heart of the operating system. What are the main functionalities of the operating system? All those main functionalities will be handled by the kernel. So that is the reason why it is called as heart of the operating system. So once we give a file name, it will be sent to the kernel memory. There is a directory structure. What is the directory structure? What for the directory structure? So it is in-memory directory structure. So in the in-memory directory structure, it is having the information about recently accessed directories. Okay. So recently accessed directories. So if it is there, if the file is found here, it is okay. If the file is not found here, so it will send the signal to the, it will check the file availability in the, that means the OS will check the whether the file is available in the directory structure or not. Check here. File control block. What is file control block? I already told you file control block will maintain the information about the files and file names, file inode numbers, everything. We have given already name, right? That name is given to the directory structure in memory. So the operating system will check for the file existence in the file control block. Where the file control block available? File control block is available in the secondary storage. Why? Because check here where the file control block is. File control block. Where file control block? File control block is a part on the on disk. On disk means secondary memory. Okay, file control block is in the secondary memory. So operating system will check for the existence, whether the file is available or not. If the file is available here, then that particular information, this is the directory structure. Directory is divided into number of blocks, right? So from that particular information, it will be sent to the kernel again. Okay, likewise we can open a file, and then what we have to do, we need to give a file name. Once we give a file name for the open system call, then it will send to the directory structure which is available in the in memory, right? So in memory, where the kernel or operating system will check for the file existence with the help of file control block which is available in the secondary memory, that is a disk. Okay, if the file is available there, if they available, then it is sent back to the directory structure again which is in the kernel memory. Okay, so what about the read system call? This is about open system call. What about the read system call? Each and every open file has an inode number. Once the file is created, it will return an inode number. Inode number is used to uniquely identify the file. Here what we need to do when we perform a read operation, so we need to start from this end to this end, then only you are able to understand. So if information about a file is sent to the information about a file, information about the file is sent to the system-wide open file table. System-wide open file table and per process open file table are the partitions in the in-memory file system. Okay, file control block is available in the disk, on disk memory. These two are comes under in-memory file system. In-memory system-wide open file table, per process open file table are in-memory file system implementations, right? So whenever the information about a file is sent to the system-wide open file table, so why? Because we might perform many of the subsequent operations on a file. Once the file is opened, we can perform many of the operations on the file. Okay, whenever the file is open, once the file is open, what we want to perform? We need to perform the read operation, right? So once the file is sent to the directory structure, what happened is a situation. This is the open system call. The file name is given to the open system call. It will be given to the directory structure where the operating system will check for the existence in the file control block. Okay, so what happened once the file was found, information about the file is sent to the system wide open file table. Why? Because so once the file is open, what for you are opening a file? We may open the file for read operation or we may open the file for the write operation. Here we are opening the file for the read operation, right? So we might perform many subsequent operations on a files. So instead of access from the secondary storage, so every time if we want to check for a file in the secondary memory, CPU cannot access the secondary memory, right? So for that purpose, the information related to the open file will be sent to the system-wide open table. So whenever the information is available in the system-wide open file table, then automatically CPU can access the memory. Why? Because system-wide open file table information is in the kernel memory, right? Kernel memory is a main memory. Operating system is a part of main memory, right? Why? Because the main memory is divided into two parts. One part is for operating system and another part is for user programs. So CPU can access the main memory. So once the information is available in the system wide open file table, then automatically the CPU can get the information in the faster manner. Okay, why? Because it is available in the kernel memory. Now the CPU has the information about the open file. Okay, and the next one, so here the index number already, what the index number we have given? Index nothing but unique identification of a node, sorry, file. So immediately the particular information will be, one process is willing to read the information of a particular file. That file inode number will be given to the per process open file table. So per process open file table contains information about open files, list of open files by that particular process. What is per process open file table contains? The per process open file table contains the information about list of open files by that particular process. Okay. Or this particular index will be given to the system wide file table, so that the system wide file table maintains FZP, maintains all the files opened by the various number of process. What the system file table contains? System wide file table contains all the files which are opened by the various number of process. Okay. So based upon this index, it will be pointed to the exact file, which file will be opened by this particular process. So automatically that file block will be accessed from the data blocks. Are you got my point? The system-wide file table contains all the open files. Per process open file contains the files that are opened by that particular process. So once we know the index number, with the help of this index number, we can check all the entries one by one. Once this particular index matches here, automatically that information about that file will be taken from the file control block already. So Based upon that information, we can get the data block where that particular data block is available in the secondary memory. We know the things directly, we move to that particular location and we will read the information from that particular block. Okay, this is about in-memory file system. How can we perform read of open operation and read operation using different partitions. This is a directory structure and a system-wide open file table and per process file table. All these things are in the in-memory. So whereas a file control block and the data structure, these two are under on-disk directory structure. So with the help of these two things, we can implement the file system. Okay. So these are the topics we have covered today. So the first one is a file system structure. So what is a file system? And next to where the file system is stored on the disk, what for you are storing onto the disk for convenient and efficient usage or accessing the file system in a convenient manner. And the next one, we can read the information from the any block. And next, what about a file control block? It stores the information about a file. And what is a device driver? It controls a physical device. And I already told you file system is organized into layers. So what are all the layers? Application program, logical file system, file organization module, basic file system, IO control, and the devices. So these are the layers. So whenever you want to read a particular block, for example, read block 123, we need to write a program. From that, we need to send the information to the logical file system. The logical file system will check for the logical existence. It deals with the logical issues. So once the logical location known to the logical file system, it will be sent to the file organization module. The file organization module will translate this logical location to the physical location. Once we know the physical location, directly it will be sent to the basic file system. The basic file system will deals with the commands what we need to perform. What is our command? Read block number 123. That high level command will be issued to the IO control. The IO control consists of a device drivers. The device drivers will translate here. And before going to the devices, so the information need to be translated to the low level hardware instruction. Why? Because read block number 123 is not at all understand by the printer. Why? Because printer cannot understand high level language code. So one has to convert that high level language code into low level hardware instruction. So the device drivers will convert the high level read block 123 instruction into low level hardware instruction. So once it is converted into low level hardware instruction, so the device can perform the task. So what is the device here? Disk. So from the disk, the read operation will be performed on block number 123. This is about layered file system. And then how can we implement the file system? So file system is implemented in two ways. One is on-disk structure and the second one is in-memory structure. On-disk structure contains four partitions. Boot control block. It contains information about booting and how the operating system will be loaded from secondary memory to main memory, secondary memory disk to main memory. That is called as a booting. That booting information is available in the boot control block. If it is Unix operating system, it is called as a boot block. If it is a NTFS, it is called as boot sector. And next, volume control block will maintain the information about the volume and the entire disk volume. So the disk is divided into blocks. So how many number of total blocks available in the disk? What are the free blocks? What are the used blocks? And what about the free block pointer? Everything will be handled by maintained by volume control block. So if it is a Unix, it is called as UFS, Unix file system, it is called as a super block. If it is a NTFS, it is called as a master file table. And then directory structure. Directory structure organizes the files. That means what is the name of the file, what are the inode numbers. Like if it is NTFS, it maintains in the form of a master file table. And next, file control block, as the name indicates, it is maintained information about a file. What are the information related to the file? file inode number, file permission, size, dates. So all these things are maintained in the form of a relational database if it is a NTFS. If it is a Windows operating system, it will be maintained like a table. Table means database. File permissions and file dates, when it was last created, when was created, when was last modified or accessed, file owner, file owner, group name, and the size of the file, what are the data blocks, what are the pointers to the data blocks. All these things will be maintained in the form of a relational database. If it is NTFS, NTFS means new technology file system. It is for Windows. UFS means Unix file system. And the second way of implementing the file system is in-memory file system. In-memory file system, we need to talk about these 5 things. In-memory mount table, it maintains the information about the mount point and where the file system was attached, the location. All information will be maintained by the in-memory mount table. In-memory directory structure, it maintains the information about the recently accessed directories or recently used directories. That information will be maintained by the in-memory directory structure. And the next, system-wide open file table. System-wide open file table maintains information about the list of open files by all the process in the system. Whereas a per process open file table means it maintains a list of open files by one process, not all the process. This is list of all the open files by all the process. That is called a system-wide open file table. If it is a per process open file table, the list of open files maintained by a opened by a individual process, one process. And the next one is a buffer hold file. It is for number of blocks being read from the disk or written to the disk. So those things, temporary information will be held by the buffer. And what are the blocks being read and what are the blocks write. So on the next one, we need to talk about 2 system calls, open system call and the read system call, how we can perform these 2 things. So initially, in order to open a file, you need to give a file name. Once the file name is given to the kernel memory directory structure, it will be maintained by the in-memory, kernel memory. Kernel is a part of a operating system. Then operating system will check for the existence in the file control block. File control block maintains information about all the files. It is available in the secondary memory, that is disk. Once the file name is, file information is known, then file control block send back the information to the system-wide open file table. Why? Because the file is opened, right? Once the file is opened, then automatically it will be an entry to the system-wide open file table. Why? Because system-wide open table maintains the list of all open files by all the process in the system. Okay. Whenever the information is available here, and next, what for we are opening a file. So the file may be opened for subsequent operations. It may be for read operation or it may be write operation. Here, what we need to perform, we need to perform the read operation. Once the file is created and opened, so inode number will be returned. So what is inode number or an index? It is used for uniquely identify the file. So that will be given to the per process open file table. Per process open file table contains all the files, list of files opened by that particular file. So that particular index number will be verified here, entry by entry. So entry by entry, once that particular index is matched here, then automatically what we need to perform read operation. So how much data we need to perform? We need to perform the information from read block number 123. So there we need to go to that particular block and we will read the information. So that is about open system call and read system call and how we can perform those things with the help of on disk structure and in-memory file system structures. Okay, thank you. That's it for today. So if you have any doubts regarding these particular 2 topics or the earlier topics, let me know via the WhatsApp or you can make a call to me so that I will clarify your doubts. In the tomorrow's class, we need to, tomorrow is Sunday and mostly the class is on Monday. The 2 topics left in this particular chapter. One is the file allocation method and the second one is the free space management. Those 2 things will be covered on Monday's class. Thank you.